NASCAR crowned 3 champions this weekend, and the Hub has the inside story.
Jimmie Johnson makes it a 6-pack, taking another step towards tying some of NASCAR's greatest legends.
Yes, yes, yes! Thank you, guys. What a race team.
The champ joins us to talk about what it means to be back on top.
Matt Kenseth finished runner-up in the championship hunt, but his spirits aren't crushed.
It's been the best season of my Cup career. It's just been unbelievable.
All NASCAR, all the time, starting now on the Hub. It is Champions Monday here on NASCAR Race Hub. We're presented by Ram. Thanks for joining us, Danielle Trotta, alongside Adam Alexander.
Hey there.
And wow, we crowned 3 great champions over the weekend in Homestead.
All I need to say is Jimmie Johnson, he is big time. 12 seasons in the Sprint Cup Series, 6 titles. Those 6 championships coming in the last 8 years.
And I'll give you this, 6 is wild for Jimmie Johnson.
Yes, they are.
Wrote this down, right? So 6
you have
titles.
Notes today?
Well, there were so many, I couldn't memorize it.
All right.
6 titles, 66 Cup wins, first to win a championship in the Gen 6 car, 6 wins on the season, and he finished in the top 10 62%
I think this means
of his starts.
The Ram race highlights are here. You saw Jimmie, you saw the trophy, Matt and Kevin trying to pull off the upset. And on the pole, Matt Kenseth. He led him to the green.
The drive for 6 began. Kenseth setting sail early, though, got a crucial bonus point for leading a lap, and Harvick charged from 6th to briefly take the lead from Kenseth on lap 15. Johnson started 7th, took 2nd away from Harvick 2 laps later. Check it out, 1, 2, 3 in points running.
But it wasn't long before Kevin Harvick started losing the handle on the 29 car. He was 8th by lap 48 and knew he could keep dropping back if they didn't make some changes. Here's 29.
These guys out racing around in front of you are just substantially better.
The field came to pit road under caution for the 3rd time on lap 69, but JJ had a little trouble finding his pit stall.
When you use that light in pit board, I almost missed you guys as he was using it. Yeah, step forward. I'm on the other side of it. I couldn't see it.
Check out the 48 car. Restart lap 95. Johnson spins the tires, gets a friendly tap from Paul Menard, and luckily doesn't lose any positions.
Things went from bad to worse for Kevin Harvick as he falls all the way back to 25th. The 29 team had no choice but to bring Harvick to pit road under green lap 117.
Kenseth, meanwhile, dominating. He led 129 of the first 139 laps, battling Dale Jr. just past halfway. Jr. finally cleared Kenseth for the lead on lap 142, and Matt relayed a message to NASCAR's most popular driver as to why he raced him so hard.
Tell him I was trying to make sure I let the multiple out. That's the only reason I held him up. Okay, buddy. 10-4.
Uh-oh. Scariest moment of the day for Jimmie Johnson.
Look out.
During a restart, 74 to go. Jeff Gordon gets a bad start. Kenseth checks up behind him. Woo! Woo! Yikes! Trying to avoid disaster, Jimmie somehow keeps the 48 from spinning, and with the championship on the line, he was very concerned about damage to that 48 race car.
On the front fender, please.
You're good, man. You're good.
Kevin Harvick, meanwhile, used pit strategy and some cautions to get the lead back, but Brad Keselowski took it away from him with 53 to go. It wasn't long before the 29 had fallen outside the top 10.
The leaders making their final stops, 32 to go. Kenseth and Johnson both take 4 tires and restart 4th and 12th, respectively, 28 to go.
Denny Hamlin took the lead from Dale Jr. with 24 remaining. Then Jr. and Kenseth going at it for 2nd, but neither of them had anything for that FedEx Toyota.
That was some good racing. This, though, was the best. Denny Hamlin in victory lane, but all eyes on Jimmie Johnson winning 6.
Thank you, guys. What a race team. You're the best out there, buddy.
I think that's a fair statement, Chad. Jimmie Johnson finishes 9th and clinches his 6th NASCAR Sprint Cup Series title.
And he further cements his place among NASCAR's greatest. He is now just 1 title away from joining King Richard and Dale Earnhardt as the only drivers ever to win 7 Sprint Cup Series championships. Final standings in 2013. Oh, what a year it was. Johnson finishes 19 in front of Matt Kenseth, who led all with 7 victories this season. Kevin Harvick, who had a chance to get the title going into the season finale, ends up 3rd, 34 out. Kyle Busch, best ever finish in the chase, was 4th, and Dale Jr. completes the top 5.
Our Ram Guts and Glory stat now looks a lot better than my chicken scratch. Here are those numbers we mentioned. Staggering. Certainly sparks a conversation on greatest of all time. 6 titles in 12 full seasons, the fastest driver to ever win 6 championships. He's won 6 of the last 8. And worth noting, Jimmie Johnson, the only driver to appear in all 10 seasons of the Sprint Cup chase format.
And now NASCAR Race Hub, happy to welcome in the 6-time Sprint Cup champion, Jimmie Johnson. Jimmie, congratulations. And after last night's race, Chad Knaus said, we are going to have a painful party. So how was the post-race celebration?
He was accurate with that. I've had a couple hours of sleep, slept on a plane ride to New York, and definitely struggling this morning. More so just the lack of sleep. By the time we got out of the racetrack, it was probably 1 o'clock, and then spent some time with friends and my crew, and had a good time for sure.
We appreciate you coming on with us. I heard the party was fantastic, and you deserve every minute of the celebration. And I couldn't help but notice on that championship stage, Jimmie, you were celebrating at 6:48 p.m. Eastern.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
We've had a goofy thing with numbers for a long time, so that's just fitting perfect.
So you talk about numbers, Jimmie, and there were some numbers leading into the chase that weren't very good. Your results late August, early September, the worst 4-race stretch you have had perhaps ever in your career. So what was your confidence level as you got into the playoffs?
It was still pretty high because a few of those tracks we were running very well at and had issues that took us out. So I felt like we had speed in our cars. And then we were at 2 tracks that we don't see anything like them in the chase, which is Bristol and Richmond. So it was easier for me to shrug it off in the team and just focus on the 1.5 mile stuff and the speed that we've had on those larger tracks, and knowing that the chase is made up of so many of those tracks really helped us kind of look forward and not stress too much about the start of the chase, and we got off to a quick start.
Well, Matt Kenseth got off to a quick start too, Jimmie. Wondering your mindset after Kenseth rips off the first 2 in that 10-race chase. Was it Dover where you guys really felt you had your swagger back, or did that not sway you guys at all?
Well, it's hard not to let it sway you some. I mean, we knew Matt was going to be tough. He's always a tough competitor, and then what he has going on at Joe Gibbs with his team and the bond that they have and the speed they're able to get out of the race cars. Those 2 races sent a huge message to everybody in the field, and we were able to chip away a little bit at it each and every week. Talladega, we got a little bit more. Martinsville, we thought we might get some, but he took a little back. And then, really the race in Richmond kind of set the tone, and it just shows how difficult the chase is, and you can't have a bad race. In my first championship I won, I think I had 2 or 3 bad races in 2006, and anymore you need 10 great races to be the champion, and we were able to pull that off this year. Last year we came up short because we missed on 2. So it's a tough field out there.
Jimmie, Danielle mentioned the amazing start that Matt got off to in the chase, but let's go to this weekend at Homestead. You had a huge lead and could have been playing defense, but the bottom line is Matt comes out, he wins the pole, they were good in practice. What was the mentality of your race team Friday and Saturday as you got ready for yesterday's race?
Really, it's the best attempt that we've had at making a championship weekend feel like a normal race weekend. I think experience helps with that, and then also the fact that we were down there testing 2 weeks ago, that put a lot of confidence in us and the package that we were bringing to the racetrack. We had a plan if the car was handling, understeer, oversteer balance, whichever direction it went. We had a plan and knew what we wanted to do and try. So that helped us keep things calm, and we had a great weekend. We qualified 7th, ran up front. I would have loved to have led a lap. I couldn't get by Matt early in the race, was trying pretty hard, and I knew I wanted to maintain track position in case we got late in the race and something goofy was going to go on with those restarts. And unfortunately, we're in an okay position where we're running on the racetrack, but we still had a really scary moment on one of those restarts, and I thought Matt and I's seasons both were going to end there on the front straightaway.
Jimmie, hang tight. We got more with you after the break.
Okay.
Thanks, Jimmie. After the break, we want to know, how did his closest chase rival take defeat? We'll hear from Matt Kenseth about his title bid that came up just short. Plus, 6 is big for Jimmie, but what does it mean overall to the Hendrick dynasty? Mr. H weighs in next.
Today on Fox Sports 1, Crowd Goes Wild is up at 5. Then at 6, get your daily football fix. And at 7, Vermont versus Providence. It's another action-packed Monday, right here on Fox Sports 1.
He had been there 5 times before, but it never gets old celebrating a championship. Jimmie Johnson, Chad Knaus, and the entire 48 team doing it long into the night in South Florida.
The 6-time Sprint Cup Series champion, Jimmie Johnson, joining us from New York City now. Jimmie, let's pick up where we left off, talking about your team. Chad Knaus said at the start of the chase that he feels you guys are still in the stages of infancy in some ways, which I think is quite surprising to some people on the outside looking in, but some young team guys, some young guys going over the wall. Wondering if you and Chad stepped up in that leadership role, more so this year than in previous, but you got to say, when it was on the line yesterday, those guys got it done.
Yeah, they really did, and we have a great system in place to train the over-the-wall guys, and a very competitive environment for them to live in, and it's a tough environment because there's somebody knocking on their door, for each position on the over-the-wall group to take their jobs, and I don't envy their position, but I appreciate their work ethic and dedication to getting the job done, and they did an amazing job all season long. And then when you get to the engineering staff, we had some new engineers this year that Chad really had to build faith in and develop and work and bring along in our system. And we started the season with a win in Daytona and kept building on that throughout the course of the year. So yeah, there was a lot of new blood inside of the 48 team this year, but Chad does an amazing job of leading people, and I think our environment in our shop does as well. Steve Letarte has a great influence on every member of our race team, and obviously the Hendrick way plays a big difference too.
Jimmie, I know a championship run has got to be chock full of stress, but as you look back on the last 10 races, I mean, you're celebrating today, feeling good about the title you have in hand, but over the course of the 10-race chase, are you able to be in the moment and enjoy it every step of the way?
It's hard. I mean, I'm getting much better at it as the years go by, and it's tough to keep a lighthearted point of view when you're competing and chasing your dreams. Everybody gets really serious in those moments. But over the years, I've been able to change it a little bit. It still is very serious and stressful and intense, but I'm enjoying it a lot more now than I ever have, and it's definitely a better way to live life and much more enjoyable.
Jimmie, the age-old debate, our drivers, athletes, came up on our network on Friday night, sparked an interesting conversation, one I thought you handled with a lot of grace and class, by the way, on Twitter. But wondering, your physical shape right now, the way you run, cycle, train, are you in the best physical shape you've ever been in? And does that translate onto the racetrack and help your mental focus?
Without a doubt, to both. Yes, I am in the best shape I've ever been in. It's not a big deal to lace up and go run 20 miles, cycle 100, swim long distances as well. So I didn't know I had this in me. I've always had an interest in triathlons and thought that an Ironman would be something cool to try to accomplish, and hopefully I can find an off weekend to train for and compete in one day. But yes, we are athletes, as everybody knows, in our industry, and hopefully one of these days we can win the debate. And we win it one small victory at a time, and I think Donovan has opened up a big can of worms, and hopefully he'll take a few of the invites that were passed his way and come and learn about our sport some more. And I think he'll turn into a champion of our sport and really promote our sport once he knows more about it.
So, Jimmie, what invitation is on the table? Now you have me intrigued.
Well, I know Gordon offered up an invite. I did yesterday as well with one of the interviews I did post-race. And that's come on out. Come check it out. Come see it. Give you a ride in a car. Take you to a local karting track. And you don't have to get into a Sprint Cup car on a big racetrack to go out and understand the athleticism involved. And I'd really like him behind the wheel. Riding shotgun's one thing, but to actually put your hand-eye coordination to the test and see what athleticism is really there. That's what I would like for him to experience.
Love it.
I know Donovan is on our payroll, but Jimmie, in this situation, my money is definitely on you. I want to flash back to when you won 5 consecutive titles. And the curiosity for me always was, how do you continually motivate yourself for more? Now you've got 6. Next up is 7, putting you on an even line with Petty and Earnhardt. How hungry are you now to go get more, realizing what the next step is on the ladder?
Yeah, I'm as hungry as I've ever been, and I think that it's something in the way I was brought up and raised. There's also as a team, I've worked my entire racing career to get to this point and to be able to know my craft and know my sport and manage it well and be successful at it. And I feel like I've just kind of got here. I've been racing for 33 years now. And in the last 5 or 6, things have really been in control. So I'm in no rush to end this, to stop it, because I've been trying so long to get in this zone. And I'm enjoying this zone that we're in. So there's no guarantees on success still being there and lasting long, but I know my work ethic and my teams, and we'll keep trying.
Jimmie, we want you to enjoy the hashtag six-pack, but a fan wanted to know if next year it's hashtag Revin for 7. What do you think of that?
I guess I need to think one up. That's a good one for sure. I don't know what it'll be. Six-pack was kind of easy to come up with, and 7 seems to be a little bit trickier.
Yeah, well, you have some time to come up with something. We hope you enjoy it. We will see you in Las Vegas in just a few weeks. Your time is precious, so we appreciate you coming on today and all of what you guys were able to accomplish this year. It was truly awesome, Jimmie. Congratulations once again.
Thank you very much. Talk to you soon.
Danielle, he may have won the title, but it's never easy. In fact, let's go back to the 4 races prior to the chase. We talked to Jimmie about it. Blew the engine at Michigan, went to the garage way too early. Caught up in David Rudiman's spin at Bristol. Spent a lot of time in the garage. Turned around behind Jeff Burton at Atlanta, and then 1 week later cut a tire at Richmond. Each of those races, the now 6-time champion finished outside the top 25. Joining us on NASCAR Race Hub, the dynamic duo, crew chief extraordinaires, Jeff Hammond and Larry McReynolds.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, whatever you want to say. We can describe you guys in so many ways. Those are the nicest at this stage
of the show. There. Leave it right there.
we just saw the adversity that Jimmie Johnson faced. Late in the regular season, didn't seem to impact him. They've now got 6 titles.
No, and that's what really makes this team so exceptional, because of the fact we all saw that chink in the armor, you might say, coming in those final 4 races as we headed into the chase, and got to thinking, man, this is anything but a championship team, especially when Matt Kenseth jumped out there, put 2 wins on the board, and Jimmie and them didn't really falter. They kind of got back in stride, and next thing you know, Larry, they really showed us what they were made out of, and I think that's what makes them so unique, and I think this win this year so special.
Well, as they've done 5 other times, they opened the lid and threw the chase switch. But, yeah, what they do on the racetrack impresses me. But it's always easy to be a good race team when things are going good. But where they are so good is when things are going bad. Let's go back to that first chase race at Chicago when they had the jack failure on a pit stop. They didn't panic. They passed another jack across the wall, completed a pit stop, lost a few positions, and rallied to get a top 5. Go back to Phoenix last week when they had that issue with Carl Edwards, and Carl Edwards sent Jimmie up the racetrack here, got a bunch of stuff on his tire. Immediately, Chad Knaus did the math and said, you know what? If we pit right here, we can make this race on one more stop. They come to pit road, change 4 tires. He restarts 26. Within 20 laps, he was back in the top 5. Same thing yesterday on that restart. They did not panic when they thought they may have had a fender problem. They did have the luxury of getting a caution about 13 laps later to repair that fender, but they never panic, whether it's something that's happened on pit road or on the racetrack.
And the thing is, Larry, you and I both have worked with drivers. You bang together like that in a championship chase like they're in right now. Most drivers would have went off. I mean, oh, my God, I've been wrecked. How bad's my car? What does Jimmie do? He turns right around and calls and says, would somebody please look at my left front fender? Please is what he used. Please look at it. So calm, so collected, and once he said it's okay, what did he do? He got back up on that wheel, and here he came back to the front, just like Larry's been saying. It's all about knowing how to deal with the pressure when it matters the most, and these guys are the best, and Jimmie Johnson is the man.
Matt Kenseth comes out, wins the first 2 races in the chase. Jimmie Johnson, top 5 in both, turns the table the next week by winning at Dover. The guy looks pressure in the eye, punches it in the nose, and that's why today we're celebrating him as one of the best all time. And yeah, oh, by the way, he's an athlete too. Perhaps he could play some hoops. Tonight, we got hoops right here on Fox Sports 1. Vermont and Providence doing battle at 7 p.m. Eastern time. And at 8, Monmouth and Seton Hall doing battle on Fox Sports 2. The Fox family of networks, your home for Big East basketball.
We have a cool story on that 6-time athlete next. His chassis number 797, the machine behind it all. We'll tell you how Jimmie and the 48 team came across this diamond in the rough. And Paul Menard's 2013 season goes kaboom. Our experts break down what caused the fire and tire explosion next.
It's a Big East doubleheader. Tomorrow, confidence in the chase.
Max points, my man. Max points. Well done. Very proud of you. You drove your ass off there. Good crew, good job. Everybody, mechanics, thanks for all the hard work.
You want the turning point for Jimmie Johnson in this year's chase? I give you the Monster Mile. He got his first of 2 chase victories there, leading like 243 of 400 laps. And perhaps the reason he was so successful on that Sunday afternoon in the first state, he was driving a car, number 797, that he fell in love with.
I feel like Ray Dunlap talking chassis numbers here, but yes, it is true. So
I wouldn't admit that. Why
did the 48 team pick this particular chassis to make that championship run? When did they realize it was special? Jimmie Johnson shared a little behind-the-scenes info about the magical chassis number 797.
There's no name. We just go off a number system with the car, and you know, the car, I think I ran in Dover earlier in the year, and the car performed very well.
Jimmie Johnson from 24th on the grid to first in just a little over half the race.
And at Michigan in August, I crashed in practice in our primary car, and this car was a backup.
Trouble, turn
Big
forward.
trouble forward. Turn forward.
Get the backup.
That's a 48.
Crap. In final practice, he is spun in turn 4, and they are already unloading the backup car. They have 30 minutes to turn this car around from the hauler to the track.
We got it on the track, made a few laps, and right away, there's just something that felt really good about it.
This might be one of the most impressive things I've seen in a while, to get this car out, get it on the racetrack. Not that's normal. What's impressive is how fast he's running. His first lap on the racetrack in his backup car matched what he had just got out of the car he wrecked.
We don't know why. I mean, we look at all the numbers from Aero and you know, all the things that go with it, all the tools that we have to measure what's going on with the race car, and there's nothing that stands out, but it just feels better. It's a more comfortable car for me to drive, and that alone is what kept this car in rotation and why we're bringing it back.
Final lap for Jimmie Johnson at Texas. Looks like it is going to be about that easy for Chad Canals and Jimmie Johnson. A very dominating performance so far today. Jimmie Johnson is going to lead 255 of 334 laps. Outstanding indeed. The winner in Texas, Jimmie Johnson.
Nice job, guys. Way to come here prepared to get it done.
Performance at Texas and Dover the second time certainly helps, but you know, I've told Chad after the Michigan race, let's put this one on the side and use it as often as possible.
That's some pretty cool inside stuff. Nothing magical about the car, just felt right to Jimmie Johnson. Got to ask 2 former crew chiefs about this. You guys ever stumble upon a diamond in the rough?
Well, I bet you Jeff has it, but in our time as a crew chief, it was much easier to do because you had so many liberties that you could do things with the chassis, with the body. But you look at these guys today, they're in such a tight box of rules with body, with everything about that race car. It's very hard to have one that's a little better than another car.
You know, the thing is, I can go back real quick, and I know 2 cars that Darrell Waltrip tell you that really had huge effects as far as his career is concerned. One was named Kermit in '81, who won his first championship with, and the other one was 1989, a car called Betty. And Betty was being bad when he won the Daytona 500. So, yeah, you have your favorite cars. And this particular one we're talking about, when you look at some of the way the box scores are, that one car was able to outpoint Matt Kenseth a total of 17 points in just 2 races. And how much did he win by?
19 points.
So that car, I mean, it was right there when he needed it to get him a little bit of an advantage.
Now, I nicknamed a few cars, but it's not names I can say on racehub. But normally when a driver likes the feel of a race car, it's something to do with what he feels with the front end, that he can feel where the front end's at. He can feel the front tires gripping. Whenever they like a race car, that's normally where it's at, in the feel of the front end.
Hey, it's like our buddy Darrell Waltrip likes to say, it's like a good pair of shoes. When you put them on, they're comfortable. And that's the way a race car is. When it fits a driver, when he sits down in it, he becomes one with the car. And I think that's what Jimmie Johnson's saying about this particular race car. When he got in it, he had confidence. He knew that no matter what adjustments they made, the car would respond, and that's key also.
When Jimmie Johnson's comfortable, watch out. Take a look at these numbers and what he did in chassis number 797. Started it out in Dover, then he said, let's put it to the side, Chad. We'll save it for the chase. They ran it at Charlotte, finished 4th. Texas, you remember, blistered the field with it, and it got the job done last night in the season finale. Chassis number 797, bringing Jimmie his 6th title en route to finishing 9th. So Jimmie Johnson got number 6. Matt Kenseth was looking for number 2, fell just short, but still a lot to be proud of. Here's your 2nd place finisher in this 2013 season.
Yeah, it was a fun night, except for whatever happened in the restart. We got a little damage and got behind. And then, you know, Denny had a real stout car, and he got me at that. I finally found a groove that helped my car a little bit. We were way tight at the end, and I was like, man, I'm gonna go get him. And then I just couldn't get there. You know, a year ago, we had no idea what this year, you know, held for me, and it's, you know, statistically and how we've ran and everything has been the best season of my Cup career. I mean, we came up short of the championship, but you know, it's just been unbelievable.
That's the mark of a veteran right there. Really has a great mindset after what was an unbelievable season. I hope the 20 team didn't leave Homestead last night, Jeff, with their heads held low, because they have so much to be proud of.
Oh, they've got so much. You're exactly right. When you think about the way this team started out, even at Daytona, even though they blew an engine there, they came out of the box letting everybody know that Matt Kenseth and this 20 team were going to be something to have to deal with, and they sure enough turned the whole season around, got on track, won those 7 races, and to me, I think they rejuvenated Matt Kenseth. I've seen a side of him that I haven't seen back even when I worked at Roush Fenway. He is so much having fun, and I love to see that in a driver. He had a little bounce in his step, and he looks like he's ready to really get up on the wheel in 2014 and make a big challenge.
Yeah, even though it was their first year together, they're racers, and we know they have to be disappointed to come up 19 points shy, especially after that run at Phoenix. But to look at their season, Jeff mentioned the 7 wins. That's the most of any team, any driver. 20 top 10s, 3 poles, something Matt Kenseth doesn't normally do is qualify up front, including this past weekend at Homestead, and he led almost 1,800 laps. Wow. So they absolutely have nothing to be disappointed about. And the thing that impresses me about this 20 team this year, they ran well at all types of different tracks, especially at tracks that Matt's not run that well at, like Loudon and Martinsville.
Yeah.
The only thing they got a challenge on right now, Larry, is can they come out and overcome this, you know, finishing second slump that we keep pointing out. A lot of teams, after finishing second, they don't do well the following season. I think that's going to be the biggest challenge right now for Matt Kenseth as well as Jason Ratcliffe, not let that happen.
Absolutely.
And I don't think it will.
Yeah. Matt Kenseth entering 2014 with lots of momentum. Paul Menard wrapped up his season last night with a very scary moment, Adam.
It was actually going good for Menard. He qualified 12th, running inside the top 10. Coming down the back straightaway, he said, you need to pit. That car's on fire. So he got to pit road, watched the crew goes around to service the right side. The tire on fire, and it blows out right there. Someone could have been hurt bad. No one was. You look at this from the other angle. Check out the right rear tire just exploding. Menard finished in the 39th position. Here's Matt Clark with Teardown.
Joining me today, Chris Andrews, former Cup crew chief, current race engineer.
Scary moment here, the restart lap 193. Slow cars in front of Jimmie Johnson fighting for control of the 48. Check out Chad Knaus's reaction. Banging into the 20 car, but able to make the save. The incident knocked Johnson back in traffic to 23rd. The 48 crew, though, pulled out the damage from the fender. JJ worked his way back to a 9th place finish. That is today's Fast Action Recap, presented by Aleve. 2 pills all day strong, all day long. But in all the excitement over Jimmie Johnson's 6th championship, we can't forget Denny Hamlin grabbed his only win of the year, snapping a 39-race winless streak.
I was going to have to beat Dale Jr., which I knew he was going to be very hungry to get a win. And obviously, his car was the best in the long run. Mine was best in the short run. And it just was just a long enough run for us right there at the end to hold him off and our teammate. Thanks to Matt for holding him up as long as he could anyway. But, you know, what a duel at the end. You know, we're 2 and 3 wide at times, especially on that last restart. This is what we needed to end our season. I mean, as bad as our season was, and, you know, as very little positives that I can think about it, winning the most poles was one positive, and now winning the final race and keeping our streak alive was another great accomplishment. So I just so pleased and so happy, and now that we get 2 months to get back healthy 100% and start next year strong.
Denny Hamlin smiling, Dale Earnhardt Jr. not so much. 44 laps to go. Made this nice pass for the lead, getting around Hamlin and Keselowski. That is what I call riding the rim, my friends. But Jr. couldn't hang on. Denny Hamlin got by him. So did teammate Matt Kenseth. Jr. finishes in the 3rd position, but he had a great time on Sunday night.
I did have a good time. I'm really, really disappointed. You know, we came so close to winning tonight and felt like we had the car to do it. But I think we're showing everybody what we're capable of, and we get everything good and everything working in the right direction.
That battle with Matt Kenseth, what was the problem? He was like running the perfect line, it seemed, so you couldn't get by.
You know, the 11 was just close enough in front of us to dirty the air right against the fence, and our car really didn't have the right rear hooked up in the lateral grip like it did the run before. So when I'd get up against the wall and in that dirty air and Matt's just right to my left, it just really wasn't clean air, and I couldn't maximize myself off the corner. And, you know, I got with Matt a few times and just couldn't make it past work.
A lot of people now with this run that you had in the chase are going to be saying Junior is one of the favorites for the championship next year.
You know, they've said that before, but we ain't never put anything like this together. These last 9 races have been something else. So, yeah, I think they can say that and feel good about it.
Dale Earnhardt Jr., the highest finisher among the Hendrick cars in Sunday's race. It's been quite a year for Mr. H. All 4 of his cars qualified for the chase and combined to win a 4th of the races in 2013. And while most are talking about Jimmie's 6th title as a driver, we can't forget it was number 11 for Rick Hendrick as an owner. That's the most all time. Bob Dillner caught up with the man in charge.
You know, it's unbelievable. When I got into the sport, you know, we almost didn't make it through the first year, and I never thought I'd win one of these things. And now to see Jimmie win 6 and for us to have 11, it's unbelievable. It's a tribute to all the folks back home that have worked so hard. And, you know, the competition is pretty tough out here, but these guys are really good. They know how to race for the points, and I think they can win more than 7. I think it's Jimmie's in his prime and Chad, and I think if we have good racing luck, it could be 9 or 10. So I hope so. I hope so. So I think Parcells said, you are what your record says you are. And I don't know how you can argue with that with the level of competition that's out there today, that he's one of the greatest that ever drove a car. And his car control and how smart he is and how he works to get the chassis like it ought to be. And Chad's the same way. They both just, they never give up, and they never quit trying new things, and they are always digging to be better. And you know, I'm just glad I don't have to race against them.
I want to steal the line that Mr. H just used. You are what your record says you are. And having said that, Hendrick has now won 11 titles as an owner. One word to describe Rick Hendrick.
Inspirational. I mean, I've worked for the man. I know what he does for you when he comes into the shop. You want to do for this guy. He has given so much to the sport. I mean, his family, Papa Joe and he, whenever they first kind of started their team, they decided no matter what it was going to take, they were going to figure out a way how to compete with Richard Childers and Junior Johnson and Bud Moore and the Petties. And he did. And he put together the right kind of people, and he got everybody motivated to the point that they don't want to leave him, and they never want to let him down. And I think that's what makes him so good. When one team falters, another team picks up the banner and they run with it.
Yeah, and I would have to say respected, because very few people leave Hendrick Motorsports. But when you look at people that work for Rick, like Jeff, like Ray Evernham, like Darrell Waltrip, Ken Schrader, they are still close friends with Rick Hendrick. They well respect him. They know that they can go to Rick for anything. The other thing that I admire about Rick Hendrick, he demands perfection, but he lets his teams do their job. He doesn't get in there and give them pep talks. He just says, here's what we're expecting to accomplish this year, and they normally respond.
What do you say to Rick Hendrick's comments there? I hadn't heard him say this before. He thinks the 48 could win 9 or 10 titles together.
You ever heard the old saying, when E.F. Hutton speaks, you listen? Well, when Rick Hendrick says something like that, folks, he knows what he's talking about. Not only does he know the car business, he knows racing, because, again, he's a racer at heart, and a lot of people don't think and give him credit for that. He's driven race cars. He's worked on cars, drag cars, and everything like that. He's not just what you would think, a guy who's made a lot of money as far as and wanting to be in racing. He is a racer.
And I'm sure Chad Knaus and Jimmie will say, let's just take them one at a time, Mr. H. Let's think about number 7 first.
Exactly. There were some other champions decided this weekend. Coming up, we've got all the wild action from Saturday's nationwide race. Plus, we hear from the new champ, Austin Dillon. Find out why the final race had him ready to give up. Stay with us as the hub is rolling.
This is Mike. Mike's being healthy and chewing like a man with One-A-Day VitaCraves for Men. It's a gummy multivitamin with more B vitamins, which help convert food to energy and help Mike do manly things like wrestle bears and take out the garbage. Get $2 off at oneaday.com.
When your favorite food starts a fight, fight back fast with Tums. Heartburn relief that neutralizes acid on contact and goes to work in seconds.
Completely reinvented 2014 Rancher and Foreman line. For every challenge, there's a Honda.
What's inside Peak Antifreeze? 65 years of experience in hot and cold protection. From an independent, family-owned business that's never been afraid to give you exactly what's right for your engine and your wallet. Peak. Run true.
Upgrade to the Philips Norelco SensoTouch 3D for the most advanced shaving experience. With Gyroflex 3D technology, you can get to those hard-to-reach places for the ultimate shave, wet or dry, guaranteed. Visit philips.com/upgrade now to save $30.
Question: has your job become boring and confining to the point where it feels like, that was me? Then I let Starfleet set me free, and you can too. You'll see North America and be well paid as you drive for the RV transport leader, Starfleet Trucking. A clean driving record and a 1-ton pickup is all you need to break out of your rut and see America. Set yourself free. Drive for Starfleet.
Protein Fight Club. Milk versus breakfast burrito.
Oh, my scallions! Winner, milk, always protein. Never greasy. Got protein.
Anybody going home? I got another show to do after this. Everybody got anything else they got to do? I know you got one coming up Wednesday night, but
I'm going to a football game.
You gonna go to that?
I am.
One car travels towards an intersection with wipers that streak and clog, while another travels towards the same intersection with wiper blades that don't let them see clearly. But between them, the Michelin Man with Michelin Stealth Wiper Blades, a revolution in wiper blade technology, combining SmartFlex construction for superior windshield contact with proven hybrid blade design for clog-free performance in rain, ice, and snow, helping you steer clear for the road ahead. Michelin Stealth Wiper Blades, a better way forward. Available at the following retailers.
Movie day, game day, dance party day, everyone doing their own thing day. With Bright House Network's Lightning 90, everyone can be online doing what they want to do. Stream HD movies in seconds, get their game on, quickly add tunes to their playlist. With speeds up to 90 megabits per second, it's our most powerful residential internet and includes free wireless home networking and Wi-Fi access. Contact Bright House today and make every day a Lightning 90 day. brighthouse.com/lightning.
Everything you see is peaceful, calm, serene. You tend to forget about everything else. I've been driving these boats for 23 years. I'm also a dive instructor. Scuba diving, there's a lot of responsibility. We keep track of the weather, which is a big part of it. Every morning, I watch Bay News 9. In my opinion, Klystron 9 is the best radar system available. It's clear, it's concise, easy to understand. It just doesn't get any better than that.
Tonight on Fox Football Daily, Howie Long joins the guys to preview tonight's game between the Patriots and the Panthers. Tonight at 6 Eastern on Fox Sports 1.
It's Championship Monday on NASCAR Race Hub, and we are presented by RAM Ram.
The Nationwide Series displayed the tightest point battle among championship weekend. Sam Hornish and Austin Dillon separated by just 8 points, with Austin holding the advantage, and the title fight did not disappoint. This championship coming down to the wire. Austin Dillon looking to become just the second driver in NASCAR history, make it 3, to win a Camping World Truck and Nationwide Series championship. It was Sam on the pole leading the field to green, folks. He held the first 30 before giving up the lead.
Danielle, when the green flag goes in the air for any NASCAR season, Jimmie Johnson is on every short list as a favorite to win the title. 2013, certainly no different. This year, Jimmie's challenger turned out to be a driver who enjoyed the best season of his career in his first campaign with Joe Gibbs Racing. Now a look back at how the 2013 season unfolded.
Trouble off of turn 4, it's Jimmie Johnson!
Right from blue and down to the wall. Fuel and tires to the garage, guys. Fuel and tires to the garage.
Jimmie Johnson off the pace to the inside of the racetrack.
Something really, really big happened. It must be driveline.
28-year-old Brad Keselowski is the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series champion.
After a devastating championship loss to Brad Keselowski last season, Jimmie Johnson came into 2013 with a vengeance. Pundits pegged him as a preseason favorite for the Cup title. And once the season began at the Daytona 500, Jimmie showed everyone why.
Green flag is out.
Johnson gets a tremendous break at the drop of the green flag. He's away by a car length.
Here comes Dale Earnhardt Jr. He'll dive to the bottom. Dale Earnhardt Jr. will look to the inside, but he will not get it done.
God almighty, you just won a 500. I want to be doing 500. Woo! Yeah!
Winning the Super Bowl of NASCAR was just the beginning. But Jimmie would face stiff competition on the road to a 6th championship.
A lot of lap traffic in front of race leader Matt Kenseth, but he's going to have enough time and enough room to win, and it's a happy birthday for Matt Kenseth.
Heck yeah, boys! Woo! Woo!
Johnson's biggest challenger came in the form of a past champion, Matt Kenseth, and the two would put on a clinic as the season unfolded.
The dominant car all afternoon will prevail for the 8th time in his career. Jimmie Johnson has picked up the win. Matt Kenseth has won at the Kansas Speedway.
Wow! Woo! We've had a lot of work.
Matt Kenseth wins tonight at Darlington.
We just won this 500. Gosh, is this a dream come true?
Matt's awesome. The guy can do so many good things behind the wheel. Lead his team. His head stays in the game all race long. He can do it. He's shown that week in and week out. And I feel like he's someone to really be a threat in the chase.
But while riding high on wins, the two championship contenders faced adversity. Kenseth struggled with TRD's engines, and Johnson found himself in the middle of a restart controversy.
Here we go.
Green flag, green flag.
Jimmie Johnson is long gone.
He's behind you, one car, let him go. Pop, one back. He jumped it. 48 pass through, restart violation. Me. I was off the gas NASCAR. Please look, I checked up to give him the spot back, but he blew it so bad.
I want you to win this race, you know that. Bring it down here. 48 to be a black flag for the start.
They decided to call me on it. You know, I totally disagree with the call, but it is what it is, and we come back and try to win in the fall.
Jimmie's restart was viewed differently by many. But however it was perceived, the violation served as extra motivation a week later at Pocono.
Jimmie Johnson has stolen their milk money this afternoon.
Neither Charlotte nor Dover were good for Jimmie Johnson, but he'll make up for it today.
Woohoo! What a car, boys. What a car. Great strategy, Canals. Thank you, guys.
After his 3rd win of the season, the restart saga was put to rest, until Kenseth helped spark the hot topic again at Kentucky.
Green flag in the air. Logano tries to dive low and get under Jimmie Johnson. 4 wide.
Matt Kenseth has the lead. Jimmie Johnson sliding sideways, trying to gather it in.
Did we crash, Earl?
Yeah, we haven't hit nothing. Just keep rolling, man. 20 should be penalized for stopping everybody. That restart. Better penalize that 20.
Is it frustrating when you ran so well for so long that you don't get out of here with a win?
What do you think? Just a little bit.
I certainly didn't feel like I did anything wrong from where I was, but you know, after dominating all day and then you have a problem at the end, it's always you know, I imagine it's frustrating. We've been there too.
Frustration over the issue was building, compounded with Jimmie's struggles in the races prior. But rallies are what Johnson and the 48 team are known for, and a return to Daytona in July was the perfect opportunity.
Heading down to the white flag, one more lap around the racetrack.
Oh, they're wrecking bad in the back of the pack. A number of cars are in the wall.
Green flag still out. Final time up the back straightaway. Jimmie Johnson on the point. Tony Stewart trying to find a way to get by. Jimmie blocks. He comes down to the line. More crashing behind, but Jimmie Johnson will win.
Hell yeah, guys. Thank you.
Jimmie completes the sweep, winning both the 500 and the 400 in the same year.
With a Daytona sweep, Johnson was on top. But the success didn't follow. In the final 8 races leading up to the chase, the 48 finished in the top 10 only 3 times, leading many to believe Jimmie was cooling off.
Now you know what unfolded in the regular season. A look at Jimmie's magical playoff run later on NASCAR Race Hub. Danielle?
Thanks, Adam. Jimmie Johnson may have prevailed, but Matt Kenseth gave the 2013 Sprint Cup champ a run for his money. Coming up, see how surprising their chase numbers really are. And Bad Brad's reign is over, so how does Keselowski rate his 2013 season? The former champ goes one-on-one in an exclusive with Kyle Petty. So happy you could join us. Thanks for watching NASCAR Race Hub live on Fox Sports 1.
After winning 9 races in the regular season, Matt Kenseth and Jimmie Johnson entered the chase 1-2 in points. The rivals who dominated the headlines of the races 1 through 26 picked up right where they left off when the playoffs began.
Jimmie Johnson's 4 wins put him behind rival Matt Kenseth as the chase for the Sprint Cup began. And with the 20's success on mile-and-a-halfs this season, Johnson would need to play catch-up from the start.
It took us all day, it took us all night, but it's all over here at the Chicagoland Speedway as Matt Kenseth has won.
Yes, thank you guys. Wow.
Matt Kenseth midway down the backstretch. He's got it under control. He opens the chase in 2013 going 2 for 2.
This is more than a dream come true. Thanks, guys.
The battle for the title was heating up, and Matt was out front. But Jimmie's consistency allowed him to keep Kenseth at bay, and a win at Dover closed the gap.
Johnson works his way off turn number 4, and for the 8th time in his career, he wins at the Monster Mile.
Thank you, brother. Max points, my man. Max points.
It's really about establishing a good foundation right now. Yes, Matt won the first 2 races, and it seemed the only way to get any points on him would be to win, and we're happy to get max points today. But there's a lot to lose at this stage, and it's about building a good foundation.
Neither driver was letting up, and after a hard 7-week battle, the 2 were tied at the top heading into Texas.
It has been perfection today for Jimmie Johnson.
If I was any of the other 300 cars, I'd be mad as hell because they definitely don't have what he's got. Just can't keep up. It's really loose in, really loose off, playing slow across center.
Johnson has been untouchable and unstoppable.
How far back second? A lot. Half a straightaway, almost a full straightaway.
Johnson has led the most laps. He will get the victory and go to Phoenix with a 7-point lead over Matt Kenseth.
Yes, yes, yes! Nice job, guys. Way to come here prepared and get it done. Really, really good job. Totally my fault. I'm sorry. I kind of feel like I let you down here tonight. Sorry, guys. I'll still get them next week. We're still in this thing.
Johnson had the points lead, but he knew Phoenix could potentially change everything.
It's nice to win like this. Doesn't guarantee anything for the future. You know, we left a mark here in Texas this weekend, but there are no guarantees for Phoenix or Homestead, so we're gonna have to go there and work hard to get the job done.
Green flag. Gordon gets the good jump.
Jimmie Johnson and Carl Edwards get together. Both cars slide way up the racetrack.
Keep rolling inside, caution. What do you think you had there, bud? Doing all right until I got tagged. And make sure Jimmie knows that definitely not what's trying to hit him there. That 29 has been pretty wide.
Jimmie Johnson nearly threw it all away.
Well, we're pretty far back now, so we're probably going to come down and get the tires on you. Fuel and left sides right here. 4. Give me 4. I'm sorry. No. Dang it. Go ahead. Four tires. Go. Four tires. Oh, God. Come on, guys, I need you. Back him up. Gosh dang it. I think that was about 12 spots. Nobody was coming. I needed to put 4 on it. Sorry, guys. Man, it's amazing how quickly it changes. It's 25th, buddy. Gotta be in good shape. 20th and 29th, 4 behind us.
A mistake nearly ended it all for Johnson, but the 20 team couldn't capitalize, putting the 48 well ahead in the standings with just 1 race left to be run.
Nice job, guys. Nice top 3. Yeah, really good work, everybody. Really good. Proud of everybody.
9 months ago, we started off at Daytona International Speedway, just up the road a little ways, and now that journey comes to an end. Hopes being realized for some, dreams being dashed for others.
First and foremost, once again, I just want to say I'm very proud of everybody, very proud of the work, the effort that's gone into this very, very productive 2013 season. 10-4, boys. Let's do our jobs here. Boys, let's do it. Thanks, guys.
Here they come off turn number 4. Green flag is in the air, and we are underway. At the moment, it's all Matt Kenseth.
Kenseth got out front early, laying everything on the line. Johnson, on the other hand, could just cruise and finish inside the top 23 for a clinch. But trouble nearly found him, with 74 to go.
Green flag waving again at the start-finish line. Jeff Gordon spins the tires, and that's going to cost him big time.
And the big losers on that are going to be Matt Kenseth and Jimmie Johnson.
Get my left front fender, please. You're good, man. You're good.
24 spun his tires real bad and kind of jammed everyone up. And man, 3-4 rows behind him, we were all just clobbering one another, and cars were shooting out every which direction. I'm thinking, man, here goes Matt and I. We're crashing out of this thing.
Johnson saved the car, and in turn, saved his season, much to the dismay of Matt Kenseth and the 20 team.
Denny Hamlin has won here in Homestead, Miami, Florida, and Jimmie Johnson has just claimed his 6th NASCAR Sprint Cup Series championship.
Yes, yes, yes! Thank you, guys. What a race team. You guys are amazing.
Hendrick Motorsports is a great race team. I mean, there's no way around it. We're able to develop our cars, make them drive nice, make them fast, and contend, year after year, and it's pretty awesome.
We're going 4 wide on NASCAR Race Hub. Bob and Nate back with us once again. And it was interesting to me following the championship run. Chad Knaus made a comment. He said, there's this misconception that we just turn it on for the chase. We're consistent all year long. Agree with those thoughts or disagree?
Disagree emphatically on this one, Adam. And although I think Chad Knaus is probably just trying to protect trade secrets here, but it's abundantly obvious to anyone who pays attention that team has a way to flip the switch when those final 10 races come. And you can just look at the 4 races that preceded the chase this year. Jimmie Johnson had the worst slump of his career. 4 finishes outside the top 25. That team was just off its game. But then the minute the chase began at Chicagoland, they were on another level, another plane. And they just have that ability to just elevate, and that's what makes them title contenders perennially.
I agree and disagree, honestly, on this one, because I believe what Chad Knaus says. They go to every single race of the season with one thing in mind, and that's to win that race, and they know they're capable of it. But before the chase, they do a lot of things differently than they do in the chase. They try a little R&D homework to see if they can get better anywhere before the chase gets there, and then they don't do that again when they get to the chase. Plus, the other thing that really weighs into this whole factor are the chase racetracks. You go to a place like Martinsville for Jimmie Johnson. He's so dominant there. They know they're good. So they have an advantage right there with the chase tracks that are there in the playoff format in the quest for this championship. So agree and disagree a little bit.
In defense of him, they're so good in the playoffs, he just doesn't realize how much better they are, I guess.
They're like the Red Sox. So good over the past decade.
Oh. Can you get us to our next item of business, please?
I will not mention the Panthers butt whipping on your Patriots last night, okay? Jimmie Johnson did not use a mulligan in the chase this year. His worst finish, Talladega. And not too bad on the other super speedway in Daytona either. Only 4 drivers in the modern era of NASCAR have won the Daytona 500 and the Sprint Cup title in the same year. Jimmie was already a part of this group, having won it back in 2006. He now joins Richard Petty as the only other driver to do it twice. As we mentioned in yesterday's show, a lot of 6s wrapped up in Jimmie's Sprint Cup Series championship this year. 6th title, first to get it done in the Gen 6 car, 66 Cup wins. Can you say 6-pack?
Yeah, we got a little theme going here, right?
Think so, yeah.
In honor of Jimmie this week, instead of doing a top 5, we're going to do a top 6. Our Sunoco, the official fuel of NASCAR, our sponsor, the best moments in Jimmie's career. You've got number 6, Danielle.
Let's go. Jimmie Johnson's first Sprint Cup Series victory came at Auto Club Speedway in April of 2002. The win was the first of 3 Johnson scored during his rookie campaign, and no one had any idea just how many more checkers were coming.
Number 5, how about 65 more and counting? Johnson noticed his 66th career Sprint Cup win at Texas in the fall of 2013. Johnson is only 10 victories shy of tying Dale Earnhardt for 7th on the all-time list, and is well within range of catching teammate Jeff Gordon, who has 88 career wins.
At number 4, champions win on the biggest stages, and Jimmie Johnson has taken checkers at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway an incredible 4 times. Johnson scored 3 of his 4 Brickyard 400 victories between 2006 and 2009 and kissed the bricks for the 4th time in 2012.
Number 3, some say a Sprint Cup career isn't complete without a win in a great American race, and guess what? Jimmie Johnson has 2 of them. Johnson's first Daytona victory coming in 2006, and he won the 500 as well in 2013 to open the season.
At number 2, wins lead to titles, and Johnson hoisted his first Sprint Cup Series championship trophy in 2006. Johnson scored 5 wins and 13 top 5s on the way to his first Cup title, and no one could have foreseen what that first championship would lead to.
Number 1, Jimmie Johnson shattered the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series history books by winning 5 straight championships. From 06 to 2010, no one had ever won more than 3 series titles in a row before Johnson's run of domination, and the 6th championship he won in 2013 puts him just one shy of tying Richard Petty and Dale Earnhardt for most all time. You want a dynasty? I think we have one in that 48 team. But how does he compare to some of the best all time? Well, you have the Yankees, who on a pair of occasions won 6 titles in 8 years. The Celtics did it. What about the Bulls with Michael Jordan? He has some of the same characteristics as JJ. And also on this list, the Montreal Canadiens.
Thanks, Adam. What a year it's also been for Matt Kenseth. The series-high 7 wins in his first year at Joe Gibbs Racing, but in the end, a disappointing runner-up finish. You'll hear from the team next.
All new tomorrow. Only 2 episodes left before the live finale in Vegas.
In the playoffs, Jimmie led a couple of hundred laps more than Matt, and Kenseth actually got Jimmie when it comes to bonus points in the 10-race chase. Nate Ryan from USA Today with us once again on NASCAR Race Hub. And I know that Matt didn't get the title, but I don't think there's any way you could look at 2013 and not consider it a success.
Yeah, absolutely not. I mean, it's the best season he's ever had, and that's by Matt Kenseth's own admission. He said it many times, and it's better than his 2003 title campaign. He only won 1 race that season. He won a series-high 7 this year, but still just wasn't good enough to beat the number 48. And that, unfortunately, as Denny Hamlin said at Homestead, that's going to be life in the Jimmie Johnson era for veterans like Kenseth, Carl Edwards, Kyle Busch, Casey Kane, guys who don't have championships yet. It's going to be really tough to win titles while Jimmie Johnson is dominating. The tough part for the number 20 here is I'm sure they're not really paying attention to it, but there is that runner-up jinx. For guys who finish second in points, the following season hasn't been too kind to those drivers, so that's probably something they're going to need to be guarding against. If you look at this history here with Clint Boyer and Carl Edwards, Denny Hamlin, I don't know if it happens to Matt Kenseth, but it is something to worry about, I think.
Boy, if there's anyone that can avoid the runner-up hangover, you would think it is them. In fact, with Jason Ratcliffe and Matt Kenseth another year together, you think they could be even better in 2013.
I mean, you would think with Matt Kenseth with a dozen years of Sprint Cup experience and being such a wily veteran that he would be able to guard against that with that team and keep them prepared. But there's just a mountain of evidence there with really good drivers, really good teams. I think there's an inevitable letdown that you have, a little bit of a hangover effect where you pour everything in, all those resources, expend all that energy, and you have a career season and don't win the title.
Matt Kenseth, great this year. He just got Jimmie Johnson, I guess.
Absolutely, Adam. And when you look at JGR's numbers as a whole, not a bad season to say the least. All 3 drivers went to victory lane with 12 wins total, and 2 of their 3 drivers not just making the chase, but having solid runs. Matt Kenseth, of course, making a hard charge at Jimmie Johnson, as Adam alluded to, for that championship. But let's take this one step further, shall we? Let's break down Matt's numbers in his first year at JGR compared to Kyle's in his first year with the organization. Rowdy has more wins there, edges him by just 1, but top 10's average finish and laps led look awfully similar, which leads to an interesting discussion, joined once again now by Bob Dillner. What do those numbers say to you about Matt's future at Joe Gibbs Racing?
Well, I don't think you can really compare the numbers because Matt and Kyle, at that point of their careers, 2 different drivers completely. And I think Matt and Jason Ratcliffe and this 20 organization will be A-OK. That runner-up jinx like Adam and Nate were talking about, I don't really buy it for Matt Kenseth because he's been around for so long. And I think he's calm, cool, and collected, and he'll overcome that. So I think we may see a jinx of that runner-up thing that's going on in the Sprint Cup Series for a long time. You know, a lot of questions this year about the chemistry of Ratcliffe and Kenseth. And we're all saying, can they contend for a title at the beginning of this year? Well, that was answered, obviously. But I think next year they will be one of the favorites, and a heavy favorite at that, to try to break Johnson's string of what he's got going on in the Cup Series.
Denny Hamlin obviously looking to have a rebound season in 2014. 14. But when you look at all three drivers in that stable, Bob, you're in the garage week in and week out. What's the chemistry like with those guys now that Matt Kenseth's so involved with the team?
Well, what was really interesting is he brought some veteran leadership to Kyle Busch and Denny Hamlin. He was like the glue that kept everything together, and we saw it right from the get-go. Guys like Kyle Busch would go over, knock on the window, say, hey Matt, what's going on with the car? And Denny Hamlin would do the same. I think those three drivers gel really well. They're all different, unique personalities, certainly. Some are fiery, some are a little bit more laid back, but I think Matt Kenseth is a guy that is very good for Joe Gibbs, and all three of those guys can contend for the title next year.
Perhaps provides a nice balance there.
Exactly.
So to Bob's point, if Hendrick Motorsports is the dominant organization right now, I think you can say Joe Gibbs Racing not far behind, Adam.
Up next on the Hub, Danielle, Kyle Petty sat down with Brad Keselowski to discuss. Spain told me recently he believed the reason Jimmie Johnson has enjoyed so much success is his ability to take control of every situation. He now has control of the Sprint Cup trophy for a sixth time in his career. Now Dave reflects back on another title run and where Jimmie Johnson fits among the best ever.
It began in 08. Jimmie Johnson's third straight Cup crown, equaling Cale Yarborough's record, made him the lightning rod in a long debate. Fans of old NASCAR, traditional NASCAR, the Southeast regional country music sport, dominated by guys known by their first names, Richard and David, Cale, Bobby, Donnie, versus new NASCAR, national in its marketing scope, fueled by rock and roll, seeking a younger demographic and using words like demographic. Today's jet-set drivers are idolized as spokesmen by corporate America, or discounted as blow-dried pretty boys, depending which side you take in that emotional argument. Over time, Johnson, by dint of doing exactly what he is both hired and genetically wired to do, win races and pile up championships, gradually replaced Jeff Gordon as poster boy for new NASCAR. Through the unprecedented fourth and fifth straight crowns, old-school fans cast aspersions and searched ever more desperately for grounds on which to discount Johnson's accomplishments. Jimmie's crew chief is a cheater. The Hendrick organization is NASCAR's favorite, somehow benefits from an unspecified advantage. The chase is a bogus way to pick a champion, and therefore Jimmie's domination of the format just sort of doesn't count. The cars aren't stock, as if they ever had been, or as if that were somehow relevant. He couldn't carry the Intimidator's helmet bag. Well, be prepared. That outraged and often outrageous debate will reach new heights now that Johnson has claimed his sixth title, one short of the immortals, Richard and Dale. Why, the king himself conceded in a championship week press conference, Johnson will not only beat the standing record of 7 titles, but will probably go on to claim 8 or 10. You could hear the gasps all the way back to Randleman. A few observations. Yes, Chad Knaus does hold the record for penalties among the current crop of crew chiefs. Whether you refer to it by a euphemism, working in the gray, or just call it cheating, the fact remains gaining every advantage is the crew chief's job, and that has not changed in the history of NASCAR. Ask Maurice Petty. As for Hendrick, and by extension Jimmie, enjoying some favorite son advantage with NASCAR, I fail to understand how such status would be granted to the comparatively unpopular Johnson rather than to the obvious, Dale Jr. And whatever you think of the chase format, it's the same for everyone, including all those guys Jimmie beat so handily and regularly. There is no end to this debate, and logic has little to do with it. It's all about passion. So stand back, unleash the rhetoric, enjoy the fight. But don't be fooled. Jimmie Johnson's championships really do count, all 6 of them. And it won't be long before he has more of them than any other driver in history.
I go back to the fact that Jimmie Johnson's been in the Sprint Cup Series for 12 years, and 50% of the time he has been the champ. Batting to 500 in anything's pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, 6 out of 8 years he's the champion, and that's I don't think you can overlook the fact that Michael Jordan won the same number of championships in the same period of time. I don't think those comparisons are unmerited in the slightest. I do think, however, that we should follow Jimmie's advice and heed this idea of let's just wait until he hangs up the helmet to truly decide on where his place is. I agree. That's not going to happen, but I think it's the best way to approach
Although
it.
I tweeted the other day, and I got some heat for it, and I said, I know he's still got 1 title to go before we get to Petty and we get to Earnhardt. But honestly, the argument can be started right now whether or not he is the best ever. And I know a lot of people are going to argue that point, but at the same time, you know, the disparity is so much different from then till now in the competition level. When Petty did it, it increased to when Earnhardt did it, and it increased to how Johnson is doing it right now with the competition.
Yeah, and whether you love Jimmie Johnson or hate him, he certainly has those boos in the crowd. You have to respect what he does, and certainly the level that they maintain each and every year.
Yeah, I mean, they could have won every race in the chase this year. I mean, that's what is just so phenomenal, I think, about the number 48 this year.
Well, put it in perspective for me. Bob, go ahead.
Class act. Family guy,
he is.
too.
But Rick Hendricks said following the championship at Homestead, he could win 9 or 10. Now, that seems